Have you ever looked for ways or thought about the impact of grounding in your life?
It has been a huge game changer in my life on just recognizing how being grounded can take me to a whole new level. And we're talking mind, body, and soul. So we'll dive into the 3 aspects of grounding this week.
Mama says namaste. Mama says namaste.
Making a family can be easy and fun.
Oh, yeah, but raising a family can be a whole different story.
From spouses to kids to the crazy daily grind, life often directs us away from connection and more into reactive chaos.
If you're tired of that cycle and are seeking something beyond the picket fence blues, this is the show for you.
I'm Ashley.
And I'm Nathan.
And we're here to take you from chaos to clarity by bringing awareness and intention into your home, not waiting for one day, and highlighting how
the uniqueness in each of us strengthens all of us.
Take a deep breath in and let's start a brand new day. With Mama says namaste.
All right, last week, as we were wrapping up the podcast, Nathan hit me with a doozy. So I want him to. Actually, we aren't even going to get to that part of it yet. I guess we're gonna share that part in the center.
You're gonna save that for the gooey middle.
The gooey middle, I think. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm noticing that we've got this trend now where we're going through mind, body, and soul of things, and it's like function and functional everything. So we have functional medicine, mind, body, and soul, and how we address that. We
Trying
talk about
on all these outfits on the mind, body, and soul.
Exactly. We've talked about our relationship with each other and our mind, body, and soul connection. And we've talked about functional education being ways of aspects of learning and all aspects of mind, body, and soul. And so we've covered a lot of these. And so now we're going to take a specific thing, grounding, and address it. Mind, body, and soul.
Oh, gosh, you're so predictable.
I know.
Just like grounding. That's the nice thing about grounding is like true north.
There you go.
Because of the magnetism.
Okay, so let's talk first about just the physical aspect of the science of grounding. There is actually a documentary that's around called The Science of Grounding.
Right, and lots of people, there's a lot of, chutzpah, talk about, what is it called, forest bathing? Mm-hmm. Isn't that right? Where you go and stand in the forest. I love that's what they call it, forest bathing. You just go stand in the forest.
Yeah.
Never thought about it as bathing. But, it's a great way to connect. It's kind of, I guess.
I do have to say, though,
I like the
when
concept
I leave
of bathing.
because when I leave the city, I take a shower or a bath. I'll bathe myself.
Yeah.
When I leave the woods, I don't.
You leave that stank on you for a couple days.
Well, I don't know. Like taking a walk in the woods versus whatever. It's
You're
hot.
right.
I lied. That's not true.
Yeah.
I bathe either way.
But
All
I
right.
digress.
The
earth is
digressed.
good. And it's easy to forget. It's one of those things that we put a lot of barriers to because growing up, I was taught there's part of my teaching that was like, all the viruses and bacteria are in the dirt and you need to be really careful and don't walk around barefoot. You might step on a nail and get tetanus. And, there was all these fears around nature. And as I grew to understand it and connect with it more, I found that it was it was dangerous if you didn't know your way around, but it was also a very forgiving place. And, walking around barefoot and being able to just allow your feet to touch the raw earth is something that is shocking how many people often really don't do. Probably the only time they're barefoot is when they're in the shower. It's the most grounding they get. And that's probably your most peaceful time too.
Yeah. Oh, and I noticed such a huge difference. I started doing, I've been barefoot for a long time. All of my childhood I was barefoot to, I don't know what my age range was. There was some age range where I was told that
Once
I had
they institutionalize you and put you in that school.
I don't know. I don't know when it was. I got somebody said I had toes like fingers and I was paranoid about my
Start
feet.
hiding your feet.
I did. And so for a long stretch, I did not go barefoot. And I hid my toes. And then I wore flip-flops one day, got a compliment from a stranger that I had nice feet, and thought, why am I so dependent on somebody else's thoughts on my feet? I want to be barefoot again.
Because you weren't grounded. You were keeping them covered up.
Yeah. Well, and so I did. I basically went barefoot from then on. I was always known for being barefoot. I'd get in trouble for being barefoot all the time at school. When I went to private school in high school, I was always barefoot. I got married barefoot.
Our children's lack of shoe memory is starting to make more genetic sense.
Oh my gosh, yeah, we always have to have spare shoes in the car because one of us is inevitably forgetting shoes, and it's not always the kids.
No,
yeah,
it's been me too.
Anyway, but when I'm sitting here working and I have a whole day sitting in the computer and I'm not getting out, and I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't connected with myself. I didn't take a lunch break because sometimes I'll binge work and get a whole bunch of stuff done. And then I go step outside and it's like, oh my gosh. I mean, my whole body settles and I feel the sun. I can close my eyes and I feel that warmth come over my whole entire body and bathe me. As the saying, force bathing. It bathes my whole body and it sends these like waves through my feet, through the ground. And it is a beautiful feeling of connection. And that is, a superpower recharge after a day, quote unquote, in the office. To just go out and to do that. And you can take all of 30 seconds. Take 2 minutes if you can. It's amazing, and that really takes you more further in the zone. But take 30 seconds and just sit and bathe in the outdoors. And it doesn't have to be the sun. Do it in the night. Do it in the moonlight. Do it, outside under a little bit of covering in the rain, or do it in the rain.
Do it in the road. You can...
Careful. Watch for cars.
There you go. Well, that's also a call out to us. Why don't we do it in the road? Sorry. Little song went over your head? Okay. Yeah. At any rate, there's always, there's all types of places you can get grounded. And I think that it's really important to stop and take that time. We keep bringing that concept up. Isn't being intentional with your time to take a break and ground yourself. Allow your body to reconnect with itself, reconnect with the ground, reconnect with the world around it, because you are a vital part of this giant play. And if you forget that you're a vital part, then you're just a machine. It's almost like it's a Chuck E. Cheese sing-along band, up there just doing the parts, doing the motions. It's so important to get out there and just stretch yourself on that grounding, because finding that true north and we're all I think we're all on that soul's journey to find our true north, our magnetism, what is just natural, what just pulls us in this direction where we could just effortlessly move in this flow. And the more you're out there searching and turning stones, the more likely you are to find it.
Yep. All right, well, that goes into our next section then. So we just talked about grounding for your body, the physical grounding of actually taking your shoes off and being connected to the earth. Then we can go into
mind.
The mental
grounding, which is so easy to do. Just close your eyes and shut that computer off. No problem, right?
Right.
Right.
What I was really thinking about mental grounding, I'm thinking about this. Sometimes we can get ourselves really worked up with our story.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's a script in our head of saying the same thing over and over again. Why is this always happening to me? That sort of thing. Or I don't know. I just don't know. And then all of a sudden our whole life is I don't know, and it becomes our script. Sometimes it's our very specific belief, and we believe things are a certain way, good or bad. We have this one perspective. And so when I say mental grounding, where my challenge is to educate myself, to look beyond my own perspective and my own script or story to see what the other options are out there. The more I can educate myself, the stronger I can stand in my own stance,
Mm-hmm.
or I may learn something new. And I've done that over and over in my life. I have felt real strongly about something and then gained a new insight and shifted that perspective. And I have that grace for growth.
Mm.
And so when I'm receiving new news, fact check. Make sure that you're looking at multiple sources that are saying the same thing, not one source, one opinion, one perspective.
Right.
When you're hearing stuff from other people, recognize there's always two sides to the story. You may be hearing one perspective and there's a whole other side going on.
Right.
It's looking at, just open-mindedness. And so it's educating yourself. And we talk about this with our children. We start at a very young age with no thank you bites. We start with food. And we say you cannot say you do not like something you have not tried. So they are required to try whatever foods we put in front of them. We're not torturing them with anything that is too absurd. We're giving them good, healthy food. And oftentimes we would do it with treats to start with. And that they just didn't recognize as
ugly
good looking.
treats.
Ugly treats, yeah. So anyway, but doing this and opening the door with a no thank you bite to say you cannot form an opinion on something you are not educated on.
Right.
And that is something that then we take into all aspects of our lives. And so before I form an opinion on what things I like or don't like, or what beliefs I'm going to carry with me, or opinions I'm going to carry with me, what I'm going to fight for, what I'm going to let go of, what feelings I'm going to feel about this certain person, have I taken the opportunity to see another side? Is there another side? Is there another perspective that I haven't looked at? It doesn't mean I have to exhaust everything, but if I can kind of balance out, I look at, especially if it's something that is really divisive or something, or really, I'm really fired up about, I need to fact check it. I need to look at about at least two to three other sources to see, to find some evidence of this. And I say all of this knowing that the internet can give you a complete algorithm of one bias.
Well, sure. But I think it goes back to, we have this inner kind of skeptic that anything, if it flies against, against our blackboard of truth, is going to automatically go into, well, hold on. You're not with us right now. We got to figure you out. And that kind of feeling, or this goes against a feeling that I hold true. One of the questions that's a great way just to challenge or immediately pull that cynic into kind of down to a more grounded level is, well, is that always true? Are all people of this skin color, do they always act this way? Or do women always do this? Well, is that always true? It's just
anytime we hear always or never, that's a question
inside
right
of your
there.
mind. It's a great way to start to kind of pull back and stretch out that mental perspective, because the more rigid you perceive this world, the more frustrating it's going to be. I see a lot of Facebook posts from friends and well-meaning friends that are once again disappointed by the stupidity and irony of mankind and the people that we're forced to live around. And if the inside is truly a reflection into the outer world, then buddy, maybe it's all on you. It's usually the things that make us angry are the things that we're ashamed of the most in ourselves. And once you start to recognize that, you realize that it's not the person selling fruit in a unconventional way that makes you angry. It's the fact that you have other issues that are deeper and it has nothing to do with those other people. But the more you ask yourself, well, is this always true? The more you can start to uncover those kind of false narratives that you speak to yourself, because your brain is a very loving, caring thing that its intention is to make sure that you keep doing the things it needs to do to keep it alive. And so just listen to it and how it speaks.
All right, we've got grounding for the body, we've got grounding for the mind. Now let's talk about the soul.
What would you do to ground the soul, Ashley?
The first thing that I do as far as grounding the soul is inward. So I was talking to a new client, and she was a little concerned about just me taking on her story and it being too traumatic. Because again, I'm a coach and I'm not a counselor, and so we don't spend as much time dwelling on the past. That being said, I'm no stranger to trauma. I know trauma. We all have elements of trauma in our lives in different ways, and when we're looking in the past, what we're looking in the past for is only those lessons learned so that we can move forward. So my job as a coach is really walking people with, where are you right now? What is. This is the reality of where you are. Where do you want to go, and how can we get there? And so that's what I'm talking about for moving forward. But I assured her that I have methods to protect myself, to ensure that I don't carry the trauma of any client. I don't carry their burdens, their pains into my own world. I am there to be a listening ear for them, to be a guide, and to help to look for resources and new ways of thinking and new scripts to simple shifts oftentimes that can change so much in their world. And so I shared with her what I do to let go of all of that. So especially after a day that I have had a client, that evening I take a shower, and you and I take a shower basically every night. There aren't very many nights we don't. I mean, typically we both shower off the day. And so I shower off the energy of the day. When I have a client, I go an extra level to it. And when I shower off the energy of the day, I literally wash off all that I have carried with me that day, literally and figuratively. And then I also, years ago, took a course in Reiki and became a Reiki practitioner. And I use that on myself. And so in the shower, water is a beautiful energy conductor. And so I'll stand in the shower and I'll give myself a full Reiki once over, and I go over my whole body. And I just spend that time with myself to cleanse all of my own energy, everything I've carried with me, and to give myself a fresh start and to go to bed with that I carry.
Right.
And
For
so
me, I'm Catholic, so I go to confession. Well, nice. I guess my point is there's a different way to do what you're describing, to release and to kind of cleanse that soul. But the important thing is ritual, is to figure out what kind of ritual falls in line with a sincere feeling of, okay, I was able to I'm not holding on to that anymore. Yeah. I'm able to let that go. And that can come in many different forms.
That is true. Yeah, you're right.
It can come in, meditation. It can come from going on a run. It can be doing Reiki. It can be going to confession. It can be going to church, as long as it is a consistent method that is there.
Right, and that is lightening your load, not adding to it.
Right, you don't have a whole lot of obligations that you have to do when you go there.
Yes. If you are in church leadership, I have lived that lifestyle with my parents, and it's not the recharge.
It may be a walk in the woods,
right?
But it is something that you like. For me, I've got to walk my troubles away, and then I'll come and wash them off, and so that's my methodology, to kind of help ground and bring my soul back out of this stage. Because if you can do that, then your life intention and your focus is way clearer. And the things that you want to get done way quicker, because you're present and you're there. And suddenly, what seemed like a whole lot and an unpassable mountain is already behind you, and you're cruising on through. And the more you can get into that space, like when we're going through major life changes, or like we're talking to the girls about, okay, we would like to do X, Y, and Z, and it's going to take us getting A, B, and C. Let's calm ourselves and bring our energies to a space where we feel like A, B, and C is already there, and it's been there, and it's there joyously on our behalf, and we're co-helping. It's a mutually beneficial situation, and we're so happy that this has happened. And the more you can sit in that space, the more likely it is to become true. And we found that, we were talking about that on this walk again. One of the things we were talking about is the power of having a direction and having focus. Because once we chose a word for the year,
Everything
everything
opened up.
just
It was so crazy.
like the perfect hand on a
Clearly, you don't play poker.
Yeah.
Whatever.
You get
It was
my
really
drift.
good.
Yeah. And all it had to do with it was all of us from my perspective, we were grounded, we were not loose, and suddenly we had focus and direction collectively, and everything fell into play. And that's when you see teams working well in business. That's when you see families working well in personal life. That's when you see countries running well together, is when the community has one eye on somebody else and one eye in their own home, and they're taking care of each other. And the more that you have that space, the more you're grounded in that energy, the more you have that freedom of energy to do it. It's kind of like that overflowing cup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And going even so there's so much to do just for your own soul connection. And then you kind of hinted at it a little bit earlier too, as far as even going out and doing a walk. Some of the other things that we do for soul connections between each other is, if Nathan and I need to discuss something, and maybe it's something that's a heavy topic, we oftentimes go outside, literally clearing the air. We go outside, we do a walk. Side-by-side conversations can be oftentimes, especially if you're having a difficult conversation, oftentimes it can be easier. It can be easier to do that side-by-side versus face-to-face. And so we look for opportunities for connections, both for clearing the air like that and making sure that those conversations don't enter our bedroom, and our bedroom is a sacred space, and that we take the time for that as well. And we take the time to connect with each other, physically, emotionally, mentally, and everything we've talked about in the past few episodes as well. So there is a soul connection, a soul groundedness that is for yourself and for those who you love, who are a part of your world, a part of the reality you want to create. So think of how you are grounded this week. How are you grounded physically? When can you go outside? Make it a daily habit. Just try it for a week and see what happens. Every day, make sure at some point you go outside barefoot. And yes, I recognize some places it's really cold. Some places it's insanely hot. Get
Concrete
creative.
floors are good.
Get creative. Find some way of getting outdoors in some way. Find a little patch of grass and just try it just for a minute. There's all kinds of these things about, cold showers or walking on hot stones. I bet you can do it. I bet you can just go outside barefoot for a short bit.
The thing is, there's not like one of them is not better than the other. It's just the act.
It's the act.
Of going and being intentional with yourself.
It is.
And so you can, in my mind, it's caring for yourself. It's stopping and being present. It's slowing down that time, that gravitational pull I was talking about last week.
Okay, and now you need to go into your story. Oh my gosh, because I was about to end this and not have you share that again. Okay, share what you shared last week.
Okay. I mean, it's just the idea of gravitational pull and its connection with time, and how the closer a watch is to that gravitational pull, the slower time is. So I guess our satellite clocks are running faster. They have to reset them in space because of the distance they are from the core of the Earth. And my perspective is that's very true also for how far away you are from your own truth, from your core. The more you are farther away from that, and just kind of going through the acts of the day, the faster that moment gets away from you. But the more you're intentional and focused with the ones that or the things that you love and care about, kind of time stands still. It doesn't mean it doesn't move by in a flash, but your absorption and experience of it is in a slower realm. And they talk about
so
that.
True. It's like as fast and as slow, because it's like you're going in slow-mo and a fast pace around you, because time flies when you're having fun. Like you hear that cliche. And there's truth in that. Time does fly when you're having fun, but when you're fully engaged and connected, it's because you lose track of time because you're
seems
in.
like it's going on forever.
There's no concept of time when you're
no
having
end
fun.
of it. Yeah, it's just happening. And so it's that beauty of, to me, that's the Wu Wei, the desire that everybody's looking for, the trying not to try. Once you get into that space where the basketball player is running towards the hoop and he shoots it, and it's not that everything's perfect and that it's just everything is falling, his body is just doing it. Mm-hmm. His mind isn't telling his feet and his arms what to do. He's just, the act is happening. Mm-hmm. That's what we want our life to look like, unfold like that.
Love it. All right, ground yourself this week, mind, body, and soul. I'd love to hear how you do it and what your experience was like. And I'm going to just throw an ask out there. I don't know that I've ever asked about reviews. Maybe I have, but I have not gotten any reviews in a while. And I would love to simply hear from some of you podcast listeners and share with me who you are and your story. I'd love to have you reach out to me directly. And if you're loving this podcast, I'd love for you to leave a review wherever you're listening to it. We really appreciate it because usually when we get those reviews, somebody else hears about it and gets an opportunity to listen as well. So we thank you for all you are.
Absolutely.
And we celebrate how
the uniqueness in each of us strengthens all of us. Namaste.
Up with the rising sun, already on the run. Mama says namaste. Life is a tangled mess, and you don't have to stress. Mama says namaste. 'Cause today I will stand up and be all the change that I want to see in this world. Boys and girls, you gotta have to stand up to be free. Oh, namaste in your heart. Take a deep breath in and let's start a brand new day. With Mama says namaste.